Hey, what's going on YouTube? TakaTanakaGiants here with round 2, I guess, episode 2 of Taka Talk. Taka Talk. I hope you guys can see that. I'm going to upload this video straight from my iPhone to YouTube, and so the quality might not be that great, but I hope you guys can hear me. So I'm going to start off first with, once again, a big thank you to SamKind4, Alex GMC, Partly Cloudy 531, and Fight On 52, James. It's just an amazing epic care package you guys sent me the other day, and I don't know what else to say, but you guys, I will be hitting you guys back up. So I just want to say that really quick because that's my first video since that, and I'm still shocked by that mail day. But without further ado, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get into the questions. I have a whole lot of questions, guys, which is really cool, but I don't really have enough time to put this all into one video, so I'm probably going to break this up maybe into 2 parts, 3 parts, probably not that many, but if you guys don't hear your question in this one, I have it all written down, and I'll be getting to it next time, probably tomorrow if I can. So without further ado, oh, and then also to preface, I guess, this video, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, but if possible, if you guys can limit your questions just one question and maybe a follow-up question, that'd be great. I have a few people that ask a lot of different questions about different things. If you can save those for maybe a different week, next week's video or a different video, then I'd really appreciate it. It'd make things a lot smoother and to go from one person, from one tuber to the next tuber. So I hope that makes sense. If you guys can, just limit your questions to just one and maybe a follow-up question. But yeah, here we go, guys. So starting off, Clyde Freak 9, sorry man, asks, what is my favorite instant noodle flavor? And for me, it'd have to be pork bone soup, which is, if you guys eat instant ramen back in the States, it is the pork flavored version. So that's probably my favorite. It tastes a lot better here in Japan, but yeah, I do like that one. Next, LeBear95 asks, what real card would I like to own? And this is a card that actually sold on eBay last month for like $1,800, but it is a one-of-one Ichiro Allen and Ginter cabinet, and it is actually the back of his jersey, as well as a Ichi on a giant cabinet card. So yeah, if you guys want to check out eBay completed listings, type in Ichiro one-of-one Ginter cabinet or whatever, and it'll come up. You'll see the card. It's amazing looking. Next is the next question he asked is favorite card in my collection. I'd have to go with the right now it's a 2012 Bowman Chrome Andrelton Simmons red auto out of 5. I just like having that card in my collection. It's kind of like my highest, one of my nicest prospect autos that I have, and a very good player as well. So probably favorite card in my collection. Next, the Pinoy Mamba asks, what is my favorite Japanese word and what does it mean? Favorite Japanese word might have to be Maido, M-A-I-D-O. Maido means thank you in my area of Japan. It's kind of the local dialect. So it's a word that you don't normally find in a textbook, and that's kind of why I like it. Next, JTulierCat0628 asks a pretty weird question, but if I pull at the top corners of my eyes long enough, will they look like yours, Colby's, Andrew's, or Alex's? So it's a bit of an Asian reference there, but I'd have to say the answer to that one would have to be only if you use Scotch tape and you leave it on overnight. So good luck with that. Let me know how that goes. I'd love to see that in a video sometime. Next, AS Magnuson 97 asks, biggest thing the card community needs to change. Now this is a pretty difficult question because I think change needs to be made. I think there need to be more changes like in the YouTube technical, I guess, side of things. But in terms of the card community itself, I'm pretty happy with where the card community is at because it's always changing. It's always changing. It's always evolving. There's always new people coming in. You know, as the hobby grows, as the cards change, so do the people that come in and collect it as well. So it's hard to say what needs to change. I mean, if we can get all the bad people out, all the people that scam, or at least find a way to stop them, that would be great. But yeah, a little bit of a difficult question for me to answer. But for now, I'm fairly happy with the card community, the way it is, and the direction that it's going. Next, Hunter R. He asks, hold on one sec, guys. Sorry. Okay. Hunter R. He asks, are there a lot of people that speak English in Japan? And that's a pretty good question. There are quite a few people that speak English. It's because English is kind of a mandatory subject in elementary school, junior high school, and high school. Elementary school, at least for the last 2 years of elementary school. Much like students in the States, they take like a second language like French or Spanish. for 3-4 years. I took Spanish for 6 years. I don't speak the language, but I can understand some of it and some words here and there. But it just depends on the amount of motivation that the people have or had when they were learning, and if they enjoy it or not as a subject. So yeah, there are quite a few people that speak it because it is something that they learned in school. But next one is of Partly Cloudy 531. Next question from him. It's a really cool question. He asked, are hibachi style restaurants common here in Japan? And hibachi style restaurants, those are the ones you have like the open, like the hot plate, and you have a chef that stands behind it and cuts up the food. And in the U.S., if you guys are familiar with Benihana, I'm sure you can probably YouTube Benihana and you can see some video of what I'm talking about. But they cut up the food and they kind of like toss shrimp into the customers' or patrons' mouths and they eat it. And it's pretty fun. It's kind of like an entertainment. It's kind of like a show. They take an onion, they slice up an onion, they hollow it out, they fill it up with oil, they light it on fire, and it kind of explodes like a volcano. They have hot plate restaurants here in Japan, but they don't have that type where it's like a show. They don't have that entertainment type of aspect to the restaurant, and it's because Japanese people don't really tend to play with the food. It's and some people might consider it to be kind of rude, and that's probably why it's not very popular, that style. At least I've never seen it before. But yeah, I mean, you can find the open hot plate style restaurants even on your own personal table. When you sit down at a table, you can have your own table with your own group. You can cook the food yourselves, or they have the open grill, like an open fire, and those are pretty cool as well. You don't really find those in the States, I think because insurance would probably be way too much for that. But next, Michael Weber, he asks, all-state agent to teacher in Japan. Why? What happened? I made a reference to this in my last video. I wasn't necessarily an all-state agent. I helped in a brokerage that helped people that were wanting to buy insurance get in contact, or at least find the best price from several different insurance providers. So we're kind of like the middleman. And so we dealing with Allstate, Aflac, Blue Cross, a lot of other companies, and yeah, that's what I used to do right after I graduated from university. But I always wanted to come back in Japan. I came here as an exchange student, and I really liked it. And teaching in Japan was actually the easiest avenue for me to get in the country, get situated, establish a residency, get a paycheck, and get a work visa. And so it's something that I first got into, and that's something I kind of stuck with, and now I own my own business. So it's pretty cool. I don't know. That's why I'm a teacher in Japan. It wasn't necessarily like a lifelong dream, but it's something I really enjoy doing. So yeah. Next up is from the Awesome Productions. He asked, do I have a kendama? Kendama is spelled Kendama, and you can Wikipedia that if you want, get an idea what I'm talking about. But essentially, it's kind of like a Japanese equivalent to a yo-yo. It's a wooden stick with a wooden cup and a wooden cup and a wooden cup over here that's attached, kind of like 3 ways. And you have a ball that's hanging down by a string, and you take the ball and try to get it into the cup without using your hands, but swinging it around, or just kind of doing like a lift motion, and the ball goes up and lands in the cup, or spinning the thing around. You know, it's kind of like a yo-yo. A yo-yo doesn't necessarily go up and down only. You can do tricks. You can like walk the dog, or you can do like the triangle thing, which I forget the name of it, but you can do the triangle thing. There are tricks with the kendama, and it is a very popular traditional Japanese toy. So very cool question. Thank you for that. And then next, I'll do a few more, and then I'll actually cut off the video because it's pretty long already. But Seagots26, he asked, how does nobody get run over in the busy Tokyo intersections? And I used to live in Tokyo, and I have an idea what he's talking about. Cars tend to drive a little bit slower here in Japan because of the narrower streets, and also the more cars on the road, so you can't really go that fast. And also, Japanese people tend to abide by Japanese safety laws or traffic laws, and so you don't find too many people jaywalking at the busy intersections. And yeah, Japanese people are good that way, I guess. So that's my answer to the question. I hope that answers that for you. Next, Smell Them Farts Cards. He asked, who was your first YouTube deal with? And my first YouTube deal was with 37 Nationals Yankees Colby. We did a trade, and ever since then I've been hooked. So what's up, man? Next one is from Grandyman413. He asked, what's the thing I miss most about the U.S.? And aside from family and friends, I'd have to go with the food. a nice steak, a nice big steak, spare ribs. You can't find bone-in beef spare ribs here in Japan. You can only find them like cut, sliced up. So that's something that I miss. And yeah, just kind of like greasy food, stuff like that, pizza. That's what I miss about the States. And also, next question from 37 Nationals Yankees. He asks, in Japan, do people act more calm, relaxed, or more stressed, or all business-like? And it really depends on the area that you're in. In my area of Japan, it's a little bit more countryside, a little ways from the city, not by much, but in my area, people tend to be a little more calm, relaxed, a little bit slower, I guess, kind of slow lifestyle. But in Tokyo, for example, you find people a little more stressed, on a schedule, busy. So yeah, it just really depends on the area that you live in. I think the States is the same, the US is the same. We'll go ahead and do, we'll go ahead and do this last question, and then I'll stop the video. I'll probably do a part 2 later on because it's almost time for me to get ready for my next lesson myself. But Chris Vanoy, he asks, popular sports aside from baseball, and I would say the #1 sport would probably be soccer. Soccer is very huge here in Japan. Not quite as big as baseball, I think, but there's a Japanese soccer league, and there's also we have the national team, which is very strong. The women's national team, I think, is ranked like in the top 5 world rankings. But the men's team isn't that high, but they do fairly well. So yeah, and also the last question, he asks, have you ever been to a sumo match? And I've never been to a sumo match before because there's no sumo arena nearby me, but it is definitely something on my bucket list that I need to do. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. When I come back, I'm going to go ahead and start off from Cardboy17. He asks about card collecting in Japan. So something to look forward to, a little bit of teaser for the next video. And if you guys have any questions, if you guys have any new questions that you'd like to ask, feel free to leave them down below, and I'll write them all down and answer them probably next week. But yeah, so that's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching as always. And you guys stay classy. Talk to you later. Peace. Bye-bye.